Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Coming up with the Season 4 Reloaded update, we are of course going to see another major weapons and meta update drop between Black Ops 6 and Warzone. And today I wanted to sort of preview what to expect with the general new weapons update. We have a few new additions coming in the form of actual full-on new weapons, and then also some new aftermarket parts or weapon mods as well. And then of course we are expecting an actual meta update and weapon balance update too. We won't have full details on the actual balancing update itself with all the various different buffs and nerfs to any given gun in the game until the patch notes drop, which of course I'll be covering right as they happen. So stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by hitting that subscribe button and turning on those post notifications. But we do have some general expectations and kind of some obvious outliers in the meta right now that are likely due for some changes, and also some previous trends that they've sort of started in the past. They probably are going to be picking up on again, I'd imagine, here pretty soon. But as we do go through all the weapon and meta updates expected for Season 4 Reloaded, if you enjoy the video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. Let's start first with the actual new weapons, because we do have a handful of these dropping, and there's some pretty interesting ones here. So first up, we do have a new special weapon known as the Olympia. Now, if you've been a COD player for some time, you'll remember the Olympia from Black Ops 1. This, of course, is a double barrel shotgun. However, the devs did directly specify that despite the fact that, yes, this is a shotgun, it's not going to be in the shotgun category. It's going to be as a special weapon. So you'll be able to use this technically for free as a secondary without needing overkill in Warzone, for instance, if you want. So you could just rock this with a sniper, an AR, an LMG. You don't have to worry about rocking overkill to get an AR and a shotgun, or an SMG and a shotgun, or something like that, right? So that's pretty cool. They did also directly specify that they plan on making this a very strong special weapon. I have a feeling that that really trends more towards the multiplayer experience, where it's going to be worth using over a pistol, over some of the other specials. In Warzone, we're going to have to wait and see, because two-shot shotguns either have been insanely broken in the past or really just useless. There's no in between, it seems like, with the shotgun balancing. But this is going to be available for free via the Beavis and Butthead event, so you'll be able to go through that track. It is going to be a premium event, but this will be through the free tiers here, so anyone can earn it as the mastery reward for that event just simply by playing the game, earning the XP required for that. With this though, for it being a special weapon, it is going to have 30 levels in total, with some custom attachments with the barrel and the stock, its own camos and everything going on there. Here's how they describe the Olympia. Double barrel shotgun, very high damage and respectable range, but requires frequent reloading. The iconic double-barreled Olympia returns for its Black Ops 6 debut, designated as a special weapon well-suited to close-quarters engagements as a handy secondary choice. Each shot sprays a cloud of pellets at your target, aim down sights for a tighter spread, or fire off the hip for a wider shot. Via Gunsmith, attach the short barrel for an even wider spread and the cut-off stock for improved handling. Make every shot count. So, gonna be a pretty standard double-barrel shotty here. Like I said, this thing could be absolutely busted or completely useless. It's got to be one versus the other. Our second new weapon here, not nearly as exciting, definitely more niche. It's going to be a new melee in the form of the pickaxe. This is also going to be an event reward via the Beavis and Butthead event as well. With this though, it's pretty standard. It's a one-hit kill in multiplayer. In general, it's got a medium attack speed with short range. They say prepare to strike gold with the deadly pickaxe, a short-range melee that's worth more than its weight in lethality. Pick your target apart using a variety of swipes, slashes, and overhead attacks. When fighting in close quarters, this is the tool to use. No ammo count or reloads to worry about here. Keep up the slang and mine that precious score. So just going to be another melee variant here for the knife, essentially. If you're a fan of that style of gameplay, you've got a new option there for sure. We also have a few new weapon attachments, weapon mods, aftermarket parts, however you want to refer to them as, dropping here throughout Season 3 Reloaded. So they won't all be available right at launch. We'll see them drop periodically. The first of which is the SVD Full Auto mod. This is also going to be available in the Beavis and Butthead event tiers. So you'll be able to go through that, earn that XP, and get this as well. The name, as it implies, turns the SVD from a sniper into a full auto rifle. So they say converts the SVD into a full full auto weapon with a high rate of fire, improved handling and spread, stronger vertical recoil, and a rebalanced damage profile complements the new fire type while still delivering impressive firepower. It blocks stocks, underbarrels, barrels, and magazine attachments, however, so you are going to be pretty limited when it comes to what you can actually equip on this, but I'm very curious to see if it turns one of the most useless weapons in the game in the SVD into something that's actually competitive. We'll have to wait and see. And then next up, we've got another pretty curious aftermarket part in the TR2 CQB auto conversion. This one's going to be available via the COD Tunes event reward tiers. This will be coming later on in Season 4 Reloaded, so a few weeks after launch. But with this, it converts the TR2 into a fully automatic weapon with a fast fire rate that gradually slows down with sustained fire, improves handling at the cost of damage range, equips a new default barrel and magazine, and unlocks an exclusive extended magazine. It does, however, block barrel attachments. So this turns the TR2 into an absolute close range just beast. Essentially, it goes from being a long range basically exclusively into a close range demon. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play. Obviously, we're going to have to test out the damage profiles on those to see if they actually are competitive. Based on the descriptions alone, they sound cool, but we got to see how they actually function in application. Now, beyond the actual new weapons and aftermarket parts coming with Season 4 Reloaded, we are of course going to see a new meta update, a new weapon balancing update. As I alluded to earlier, currently they haven't given us any specifics on these. So, with this damage range getting buffed on a rifle or this, fire rate getting buffed on a sub, those specific details will be reserved for the full patch notes when those surface. As mentioned, we'll be covering them right away, so stay tuned. But the devs have obviously said in the past that when there are outliers in the meta, when there are clear definitive choices that are better than the rest of the field, something has to change. Recently, they've sort of been in the trend of buffing weapons instead of nerfing them, buffing, weapons that are slightly underperforming versus the absolute meta instead of hard nerfing the absolute meta. So that said, right now, the two main weapons everyone is using are the Krig and the LC-10. Those are the absolute meta for the long range and the close range. So with Season 4 Reloaded, it's basically expected either we're going to see slight nerfs to the Krig and the LC-10 to bring them more in line with, the Grau 5.56 conversion, some of the other rifles, and then also things like the C9, the Ladra, those other subs, right? Or we're going to see buffs to a handful of those rifles and those SMGs to bring them onto the same level as the Krig and the LC-10. Now, when you do consistently buff weapons to match the absolute meta, obviously the TTK gets faster and faster. So if you're a fan of a quick TTK, that's probably good news. If you're not, that's probably not the best news, right? Of course. And then another thing I'm curious about, while I do think the Krig and the LC-10 metas will be addressed to a certain capacity, is also fixing some weapon attachments here, because as we've seen on the Trello for weeks now, they've had a fix scheduled to fully fix the LC-10, the FFAR, and the Essex not being able to equip the monolithic suppressors. So if you're trying to build out some meta loadouts, you haven't had that available yet. That'll, I would imagine, be fixed with Season 4 Reloaded, given the fact that they tried to fix it once. It worked for some players, but not everyone. Then they confirmed another fix was inbound too. So we've got that to look out for. And then one final thing, probably the most unlikely of all the things that we've talked about, but also still possible, is more adjustments to past era weapons. So MW2 and MW3 guns. Again, the devs have stated they want meta diversity. They want to be able to have a meta where you can use a multitude of weapons from different games. And we saw this trend actually pick up a lot with Season 3. When Verdansk returned, they buffed a ton of old weapons from MW2 and MW3, and there were several actual true contenders in the meta from those games. It wasn't just the monopolized Black Ops 6 meta. But then in Season 4, they reverted all that, because then they just made substantial buffs to the already good Black Ops 6 guns and left all the MW2 and MW3 weapons behind. So I'm also looking for potentially some more buffs to MW2 and MW3 options to bring them more in line, whether it be with their handling and feel, because there is still a distinct difference in previous era games weapons versus Black Ops 6 weapons, but then also things like range, velocity on those, etc., to match them more with the Black Ops 6 stats. So a couple of things to look out for there. Like I said, until we have the full details, there's not too much we can go into with that, but full-on weapon balancing update, meta update coming with Season 4 Reloaded, a handful of new weapon options as well. Once the full update's out, I got you guys covered with all the patch notes and changes that are being made, so stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.